whatever it might be, and put him on the field this Sunday against the Raiders.
Yeah, you don't want to push it, but T.Y. Hilton was a huge reason why the Colts were able to win that game. Week 3. Thank you, Tom Pelissero. More coming up a little bit later. You know, I was joking about the Dwayne Haskins thing earlier. If you're waiting for Dwayne Haskins Week 4 against the Giants, you're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer. Jay Gruden, after the Redskins lost to the Bears Monday night at FedEx, said, not yet.
Not really, no. I think the most important thing is we have to have some continuity. You know, I can't be changing people every 5 minutes here. So I think I got to give Case an ample opportunity to play with these new guys. I mean, this is his first time in this offense, really. You know, Donald Penn, Eric Flowers, their first time in this offense. You know, Trey Quinn only played 2 games last year. I made this point before. We're not going to be perfect, but we need to be better, and I think we can get better. Otherwise, if I didn't think we had a chance to get better, then I would make a change. But I feel like Case has the tools to become a very efficient quarterback in this offense and get us some victories here moving forward.
So Jay Gruden is not making a change. Should he make the change? What does he have to lose? We'll get Charlie Casserly, our former Redskins GM, in on that conversation coming up a little bit later on this hour of NFL Now.
Wentz fires, he completes it, spinning his Aguilar, breaks the tackle. He's in for a touchdown.
Touchdown Green Bay, 40-yard bomb. Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
He's hit, he's sacked. The Eagles got him.
Leaping interception. King's got it. Green Bay football. Coming up, Packers-Eagles on Thursday night.
All right, Thursday night football is, shortly over 48 hours away. Hard to believe, Mike Garafolo, and that's all I could think of watching the Eagles lose this past Sunday is, man, how does this banged-up team get ready to get on a plane and go to Green Bay and play a huge game? How are the Eagles looking health-wise with everything now?
Alshon Jeffery back on the field participating in walkthrough on Tuesday here, so that is a good sign. The expectation, the hope, I don't know which word you want to use, but it's looking good for Alshon Jeffery this week to get back on the field after missing only 1 game with a calf injury. No Deshaun Jackson as well. He's going to be out. The question with him is he going to be able to make the turnaround for their next game against the Jets Week 5. But for right now, to get Alshon Jeffery back, a big body wide receiver that must be accounted for. They didn't have any of those guys on Sunday. Nelson Aguilar was their number 1 wide receiver. He stepped in. He did make that play that you just saw, but there were a couple of other plays that should have been caught by both him and some other wide receivers. Offensive coordinator Al Groh just speaking right now. He was trying to express confidence, saying that our guys have moved on. He talked about urgency and very, very high confidence as they head into this game against Green Bay. They better, because this is a good Green Bay defense that can take the football away. They've been working with their guys, reminding them that it's not just about tracking the ball, catching it, and following it all the way in. You have to grab the football and tuck it away, keep it away. Because one of those drops for Nelson Aguilar, he had the ball in his hands, put it away, was trying to put it away, and got it smacked out of his hands there.
Yeah, I love what Doug Peterson said yesterday. Doug, are there any coaching points on all those drops? And he went, coaching point? Yeah, catch the ball.
Yeah. Right. And that's a simple way of saying it, but there is more technique to it. That's something you got to work on it somehow. So that's what Groh was saying, that the actual technique of doing it, they've got to work on that.
Yeah, and Groh also showed some confidence, expressed confidence, and backed up the rookie running back Miles Sanders, who had his fumble issues as well. Thankfully, he wasn't decapitated, regardless of whether or not there was a flag thrown on that kickoff. But it's not just him. They got to get all those backs going, Mike.
You know what? I'm just getting sidetracked now, but you know what I was thinking when he got his helmet ripped off? He's got a nose ring. I don't know how that thing's. That's the first thing I thought
didn't know
of. Maybe that would
like
get
the Alvin
caught.
Kamara
Yeah,
thing?
it's not. Well, it's not a hoop. It's
like a stud.
It's a post. Anyway, I don't know why you would play with that. Anyway, Miles Sanders, yes, they are going to stick with him. In the words of Groh, we're not going to, quote, bury the guy on the bench. And a lot of other coaches would. I mean, let's talk about Foxborough. You know what happens up there when you fumble? You go find the bench, and then you don't come off for quite some time, especially if you are a young player. But that is not the tack that the Eagles are going to take with Miles Sanders here, despite the fact that Jordan Howard's in that backfield. You've also got Darren Sproles as well. Now, look, they could be blowing a little bit of smoke here, and maybe that Howard is going to have an increased role on Thursday night. But I agree, or I believe, I should say, when he says they're not going to bury Sanders on the bench. They're going to continue to give him chances to make plays. And not only holding on to the football, he's also got to make the right reads. They want him to put the foot in the ground and get vertical up the field. He's got to do a little bit more of that. They need this running game to get going eventually.
Jordan Howard, a guy that does have, obviously, some experience at Lambeau Field as a former Bear. So maybe they take him out of the garage a little bit more. That remains to be seen. That game is coming up on Thursday. We have both teams covered. Thank you. Mike Garafolo there with the Eagles, and now Stacey Dales here with the Packers, joining us inside Lambeau. Beautiful Lambeau Field. Hi there, Stacey Dales. We got a 3-0 team. They're the home team, obviously, this week, riding high. What can we expect from the Packers Thursday night?
Well, Andrew, we continue to expect an offense that just continues to evolve. And talking to these players, I've had them for the first 3 weeks of the season, and I was here in the locker room after their Broncos win. They put up 27 against the Broncos on Sunday, and they're just scratching the surface. Every week there's been just an incremental improvement offensively with this team. We know what the defense is doing, the number 2 scoring defense in the National Football League, tops with 8 takeaways. But for this offense, in talking to Devontae Adams, wide receiver, just too many lulls. I mean, they've got that strong script to start the game, and they've been explosive, but putting those sequences together. Had a really nice conversation with starting right tackle Brian Bulaga, now in his 10th season with these Packers. And, he said it's one thing to put this offense together because they're still all learning it in practice and seeing what it's doing in practice. But when you get into a real live game situation, he said, interestingly, your muscle memory wants to take you back to that old scheme. So you have to fight the urge in game and push to stay with the new scheme. And that's what they are working through, whether that's technique, whether it's the blocking and how they're using the running backs, because everything is different for this Packers offense. And I'll remind everybody, Aaron Rodgers himself said it's the wordiest offense that he's been a part of since his days at Cal in college.
Which is why he has had that wristband at times on. And it's interesting, Stacey, I saw your Game Day Morning report about just scratching the surface this past Sunday. They're 3-0. The defense obviously is doing its part. They haven't really busted out. They've had their moments offensively, but you're still kind of waiting for that wow game from the offense.
Oh, there's no question about it. We haven't even, you talk about scratching the surface, seen the potentiality of, for instance, how they're going to use Aaron Jones, the running back, who's been just outstanding over the past few weeks. And not the biggest guy out there, but, they have all bought in to how Matt LaFleur wants to use these motions, these runs, this running game, and the balance has been there. But it is a short week. They are 3-0. And as this offense continues to improve, they'll take the record, but they know the Eagles are hungry as this game approaches for Thursday. I talked to guard Billy Turner, and I said, can you just put into words what it's like to turn around from a Sunday night to a Thursday game, and you guys are the home team? And he said it to me like this, and I think our viewers will find this interesting. Think of yourself in a regular job. You fly coast to coast all the way across the country. You go through a 12 to 13, 14-hour meeting. You work all week nonstop without sleep, and then at the end of your work week, you have another 12-hour, 13, 14-hour meeting. That's what it's like mentally for these guys. As far as the physical component, he said a lot of us compare it to a car accident in terms of how physical this thing is. And what you really want is your adrenaline to kick in at a certain point. And that adrenaline always seems to kick in on Thursdays when game day is here, Andrew.
And we will be there for it when that adrenaline kicks in, where Stacey stands now. Thank you. Dale's live at Lambeau ahead of Week 4 and TNF. What if I told you the biggest game of the AFC this week is